Right, so picture this. You're the Prime Minister of Great Britain. You've got the worst approval ratings since records began. Your party is hemorrhaging support faster than a punctured tyre loses air, and now your own backbenchers are queuing up like it's Black Friday at Harrods, except instead of discounted handbags, they're after your political head on a silver platter. Welcome to Keir Starmer's January 2026, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolutely glorious chaos, and I am here for every second of it. Before we dive into this Shakespearean tragedy playing out in real time, do me a quick favor, would you? If you're enjoying the absolute carnage we're about to dissect, smash that subscribe button. Seriously, over 94% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. It's free, takes literally 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep bringing you this sort of delicious political drama. Cheers if you did. Right, let's get stuck in. Now, where were we? Yes, the complete and utter disintegration of the Labour Party. Yesterday wasn't just bad for Starmer, it was apocalyptic. It was the political equivalent of watching someone simultaneously step on a rake, slip on a banana peel, and then get hit by a falling piano. You could barely turn on the radio or flip to a news channel without seeing another Labour MP queuing up to plunge the metaphorical dagger into their own Prime Minister. And we're not talking subtle backstabbing here, the sort of whispered corridors of power nonsense. No, no, no. This was front stabbing. This was Game of Thrones level brutality, except with significantly worse haircuts and considerably more disappointing regional accents. The catalyst for this spectacular meltdown? The Labour Party's National Executive Committee, that charming little group of Starmer loyalists, decided to block Andy Burnham from standing in the upcoming Gorton and Denton by-election. Now, for those of you not obsessed with Westminster intrigue like I am, Andy Burnham is the Mayor of Greater Manchester, perpetually tanned, perpetually ambitious, and has been circling the Prime Ministership like a shark that's caught the scent of blood in the water. And let me tell you, there's plenty of blood in the water right now. The NEC's decision to bar Burnham was supposed to be Starmer's big power move, right? Show everyone who's boss, assert dominance, all that alpha male nonsense, except it's backfired more spectacularly than a defective firework at a royal celebration. Because instead of looking strong and decisive, Starmer now looks absolutely terrified. He looks like a man clinging to power with his fingernails, desperately trying to stop anyone remotely competent or popular from anywhere near a by-election that could launch a leadership challenge. And here's the delicious irony that's keeping me warm at night. By blocking Burnham, Starmer thinks he's bought himself time, given his premiership a stay of execution, as it were. But actually, he's done precisely the opposite. He's shown weakness, he's shown fear. And in politics, once your own side smells weakness, once they realize you're vulnerable, it's over. The sharks don't stop circling, they attack. Because let's be brutally honest here, this decision absolutely reeks of desperation. This is not the action of a confident Prime Minister with a solid grip on power. This is the action of a man who knows his days are numbered and is frantically trying to delay the inevitable. It's like watching someone rearrange deck chairs on the Titanic whilst insisting everything is absolutely fine and there's definitely no iceberg to worry about. Except the iceberg has already hit. The ship is sinking, and everyone's scrambling for the lifeboats. And speaking of desperate measures, shall we talk about what happened last week? Because if you thought blocking Burnham was bad, the decision to scrap 29 local elections in May was genuinely jaw-dropping. I mean, seriously, let that sink in for a moment. The government of the United Kingdom, a supposed bastion of democracy, a nation that literally invented parliamentary democracy, has cancelled elections. Cancelled them. Do you know who cancels elections? Dictators, that's who. Autocrats, strongmen in banana republics who know they're about to get absolutely walloped at the ballot box and would rather suspend democracy than face the voters. The official excuse was some administrative nonsense about local government reorganisation, but we all know the real reason, don't we? Reform UK was projected to absolutely clean up in those areas. The polls were showing a potential bloodbath for Labour, and Starmer looked at those numbers and thought, you know what, let's just not bother with all that tedious democracy business. Let's just cancel the whole thing. 4.5 million voters stripped of their basic democratic rights because the Prime Minister is too scared to face them. It's absolutely disgraceful. And before anyone starts with the whataboutism, yes, local government reorganisation happens. Yes, sometimes election timing gets adjusted. But the scale of this, the timing of this, the sheer brazenness of it is unprecedented. This isn't administrative necessity. This is political cowardice dressed up in bureaucratic language. This is a government that knows it's on borrowed time and is willing to undermine democratic principles to cling to power for a few more months. But here's where it gets really interesting, because whilst Labour is busy tearing itself apart like a pack of rabid dogs fighting for scraps, Reform UK is building something. They're organising, they're mobilising, they're preparing to absolutely capitalise on this chaos. And the Gorton and Denton by-election, that's going to be ground zero. Now, Gorton and Denton has been a Labour stronghold for decades. We're talking proper red wall territory here, the sort of place you could stick a red rosette on a garden gnome and it would get elected with a comfortable majority. But times are changing, aren't they? The red wall crumbled in 2019 and it's been wobbling ever since. Brexit realigned British politics in ways we're still trying to fully understand, and traditional Labour voters in places like Gorton and Denton are looking at Starmer's government and thinking, this isn't what we voted for, this isn't working.
And let's be honest about what's happening here with the broader political landscape. Labour has been in government for about 18 months now, and what exactly have they achieved? What can they point to and say, look, we did that and it made your life better? Because from where I'm sitting, and I suspect from where most voters are sitting, it's been 18 months of catastrophic mismanagement, broken promises and political infighting. The economy, still struggling, the NHS, still in crisis, immigration, still a contentious mess with no clear solutions, cost of living, people are still choosing between heating and eating, crime rising in many areas, infrastructure crumbling. And instead of focusing on any of these pressing issues that actually affect people's daily lives, Labour is engaged in internal warfare, fighting amongst themselves like teenagers arguing over who gets the last biscuit whilst the house burns down around them. The British public are not stupid. They can see what's happening. They can see a government that's more interested in internal power struggles than actually governing. They can see a Prime Minister who looks increasingly out of his depth, who responds to challenges not with strength and vision, but with panic and authoritarian measures, cancelling elections, blocking rival candidates, silencing dissent within his own party. These are not the hallmarks of confident leadership. These are the death throes of a failing administration. And the media coverage, absolutely brutal. Even outlets that were initially sympathetic to Labour are running out of patience. The editorials write themselves at this point. Political commentators across the spectrum are sharpening their knives because there's blood in the water, and everyone loves watching a political collapse in slow motion. It's morbidly fascinating, like watching a particularly dramatic episode of a political thriller, except it's real and it's happening right now. The backbench rebellion we witnessed yesterday wasn't just a few disgruntled MPs having a moan. This was coordinated. This was deliberate. This was a clear signal that significant portions of the Labour Party have lost confidence in their leader and are no longer willing to pretend otherwise. When your own MPs are lining up across the airwaves to publicly criticise you, to question your judgment, to essentially call you weak, that's not just bad news, that's terminal. Because once that dam breaks, once MPs realize they can openly criticize the leader without immediate consequences, the floodgates open. Others who've been harboring doubts suddenly feel emboldened to speak up. The whisper campaigns turn into outright warfare. The careful political positioning becomes outright jockeying for power in the post-Starmer era. Because make no mistake, people are already thinking about what comes next. Andy Burnham certainly is. He might be blocked from Gorton and Denton, but he's not going away. He's biding his time, keeping his profile high, positioning himself as the reasonable alternative, the competent administrator who can rescue Labour from this mess. And he's not alone. There are others in the wings, watching, waiting, calculating when the right moment to strike will be. The tragedy of all this, and I do mean tragedy in the classical sense, is that it was so avoidable. Labour came into power with a decent majority, with goodwill from voters tired of conservative chaos, with an opportunity to actually deliver meaningful change, and they've squandered it. Absolutely squandered it, through poor judgment, weak leadership, internal divisions, and a fundamental failure to understand what voters actually want and need. The people of Gorton and Denton, like people across the entire country, deserve better than this. They deserve a government that functions, that has a clear direction, that actually cares about improving their lives rather than engaging in petty internal squabbles. They deserve leaders who are confident enough in their vision and abilities that they don't need to cancel elections or block candidates because they're terrified of democratic accountability. And that's ultimately what this all comes down to, isn't it? Accountability. Democracy only works when those in power are willing to face the electorate, to defend their record, to accept the judgment of voters. When you start dismantling those democratic safeguards because you're scared of losing, you've already lost. You've lost the moral authority to govern. You've lost the trust of the people. You've lost the right to call yourself a democratic leader. Reform UK is betting that voters in Gorton and Denton and across the country in those local elections that haven't been cancelled are ready for something different. They're betting that people are tired of the same old Westminster games, the broken promises, the incompetent management, the politicians who seem more interested in their own careers than serving the public.